and make job search more about numbers and less about emotions?
It's about quality over quantity, but once you figure out the quality, then you add quantity, and that becomes unstoppable.
But I want to hear from you, like, what are the mistakes that you've made that you don't want to see other people make?
Ooh.
In your career, specifically.
No two job search strategies are exactly the same. A lot of it's going to depend on who their audience is, the level that they're operating at, the kind of compensation they want. Like the balance is going to be a little bit different for everybody. You know, the fastest way to burn yourself out is to come to work and try to be someone you're not.
All right, welcome back to this episode of the How to Get a Job podcast. Today, we have our co-host, Ellie, and our special guest, Adam Broda from Broda Coaching. Welcome. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
I'm happy now that I'm with you two.
Oh, so excited. So excited to have you both here. I think what's awesome is, like, since we've all met in person before and we've spent a lot of time together before, like, it's just such a great conversation. So welcome back, Ellie. Welcome, Adam. Ellie, what's going on with you? What's new in your world today?
What's new in my world today? It's a Thursday, so nothing. Yeah, Thursdays are actually my most normal day of the week. It's usually just a work day, lots of meetings, lots of getting things done because I don't have any Frisbee today. So
Ultimate Frisbee. Ellie's true love.
Yep.
Gosh, I just have so many questions I want to ask about that, but let's avoid those.
Okay, we'll do that on the How to Play Ultimate Frisbee podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Call me up.
Yeah, Adam,
What is
how are
new
you
with
doing,
you?
sir?
Yeah.
I'm doing good. My nothing days, there aren't nothing days, but my most nothing day is Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays are they're where I do a lot of like coaching calls. Like I'm talking to a lot of like people that have messaged me, and then it also ends with swim lessons. So I have to mentally prepare for swim lessons with my 5-year-old.
I was going to say, your swim lessons. You're learning how to swim, or
I'm learning how to swim in my own way.
Yeah. Learning how to swim through parenthood.
Adam recently finished a 70.3 Ironman. So, did you guys know that? And last time that Adam was in the show was about a year ago when we did 2024 predictions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. And the first time that Adam was in the show, I gave him a present that he gave to his brother-in-law. That's it. I just want to put it all in there, and we're ready to get started.
I'd like to confirm that it is still in the family, though. I ate off of it the last time I was in Virginia and spent time with him. So it's being used.
I am glad that it's being used.
Yeah. It's better to be used by somebody than to be like stowed in a closet.
Yeah. If Daniel gives me books, I mean, those are just going straight to Goodwill. But like a steak platter made of wood, we had to keep that one for sure.
All right.
Not the book straight to Goodwill. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so funny. So something, Daniel, that you had mentioned earlier is that we have met in person. That was the best week of my life, hands down, no doubt. But there was something that I specifically remember, Adam, that you had said during that week. It's a very sharp memory for me. You were like, as a job seeker, you kind of have to pitch yourself like you would a product. Because that's your background. So in your opinion, I would just want to get started by hearing from you a little bit more about what your philosophy is on how to market yourself for a job.
Yeah. I'll start by the typical disclaimer of saying, like, everybody we work with is unique, right? Everyone has their own preferences and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And, you know, we have frameworks for confidence and we have frameworks for systematizing the job search and frameworks for making things into games. And I would be lying to you if I said that all of those transfer well to everyone. They don't, right? Some people resonate more or less with that stuff. But at a high level, you know, the approach is to try and make job search more about numbers and less about emotions. I think the common misstep is to, you know, panic your way into a job search because you think you're going to be laid off or you think you're going to lose your job, or maybe you have, right? And now you need a job. An approach from this perspective of, you know, I'm going to put a lot of effort into making something work, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to feel really bad about it. I think the best job seekers on the market right now, even in a hyper competitive environment where there's so many qualified people looking for roles, are the people that can remove the emotion from the process, which is very difficult to do in practice. It's easy to say, but and to almost think about their job search like sales and marketing, right? Like you are the product, you are the service, you are the thing being marketed and sold. And just like you would think about, selling a product or a service, you'd think about a funnel, right? Where I need to create awareness, and then I need to, take those people that are aware and get them to warm up in some way where they now believe that I can solve their problem. And then I need to warm them up further to the point where they're willing to buy. It's a lot of the same approach from a job search perspective is, how many messages do I have to send to get somebody to respond? How many responses do I have to get somebody to bite on an interview process? And that's really a lot of what we're trying to do with the people in our search community is let's build systems that make you focus more on the numbers and less on, gosh, I really hope this one person that reached out really, is impacted by my resume. And if they're not impacted, then my resume is bad and I need to rethink everything. That's a lot of what I'd say is where we start at a high level is we try to make it a game, right? It's more about the numbers. It's more about what the numbers tell you. It's more about the constraints that the numbers reveal. But I almost approach it like a flywheel. Like you've got to put time and effort in to get the flywheel spinning. And once it's spinning and you have marketing materials and pitch decks and videos and a polished resume and you know who your target audience is and you've got, networking messages that are getting good response rates, like the flywheel will continue to spin and the likelihood of the opportunities will pick up. And that's a lot of what we try to do with folks that we work with.
I don't have a follow-up question there, because if I were to just listen to that part of the podcast and nothing else, I would just assume it's a numbers game. Apply. If I apply enough times. And when I think about this is because there's two main extremes. You have one extreme where it says it's a numbers game, just apply. There's even AI tools out there that will apply for you, and right. And so you could be applying to hundreds of companies every single day, right? And then there's another extreme of that, right? That is quality, only one application. You don't even apply. In fact, just network, pick one company, one job, put all your attention into one of them. Personally, what I found is that it's about quality over quantity. But once you figure out the quality, then you add quantity, and that becomes unstoppable, right? Because like, if I just do quantity without even knowing if I'm applying to the right places, even if I have a good resume and I do all that, all those applications won't matter. But if I focus too much on quality and everything has to be perfect, and I'm a perfectionist and I'm going to reach out to every single person in that company and only apply to one job, there's a lot of things that can happen to that one company or department, and they can have a layoff, they could do a hiring freeze, and I'll be waiting for years. How do you suggest your clients balance that, or do you even suggest them to balance that?
Yeah. I mean, we find the balance by working with them directly. As I said back at the beginning, like no two job search strategies are exactly the same. A lot of it's going to depend on who their audience is, the level that they're operating at, the kind of compensation they want. Like the balance is going to be a little bit different for everybody. But yeah, kind of back to what we were saying. We don't live on either side of the extreme. And again, like you can, don't get me wrong. I think if you're very, very senior in your job search, you're probably going to live more on the networking side, right? If you're very, very minor or early stage in your job search or your career, probably going to live more on the application side because you're not going to have as strong of a network. But yeah, I'd say for most clients, the systems that we want to build don't care whether you're spending time applying or spending time networking. We still need systems whether you're working either side of that coin. You can systematize the applications process. You can systematize the networking process. I'd say the balance that we typically strike on average for most of the people that we work with, and just to give some context, like probably 80% of our career community is senior principal director level. So we are pretty much mid to late stage career. It is probably like a 70-30 split between 70% of our efforts going into networking first approaches and funnels, and 30% of our time going into applications and trying to, kind of, whether you're on LinkedIn Easy Apply or you're on a careers page or you're, doing targeted Boolean operator searches on Google Jobs, whatever it is, that's probably the rough split is 70-30, but it varies very much depending on the individual.
I feel like that's a different approach than what maybe not everybody, but what I've seen a lot of other career coaches doing is like, they're like, I have a system that's going to work for you. Here's the system, learn it in my training modules. Now go do the system exactly as I prescribe. And everybody is doing the same thing. I feel like that's maybe a common methodology that some career coaches are using. So that's really cool to hear that you are adding so much personalization into the process. Is that done through the work with the coach that they get through Broda coaching, or do they make the plan themselves? Talk to me about how that works.
Yeah. Our system is, we have, and again, I'll try to cover the whole question. There's a lot that could be said there. The way that Broda Coaching's community environment works is we have a team of, let's say, 10 to 15 part-time coaches that are quote unquote on staff, right? And I function as the head coach. So my terrible analogy is, think of like a hockey team, right? You have hockey players that are out skating on the ice and you have hockey players that are sitting on the bench, and there's a lot of rotation happening. And I, the head coach, am the one kind of deciding how those rotations happen and who's going to be on and who's going to be off, who needs a break. Obviously, things happen in the part-time coaching environment all the time. But yeah, I think I'd have to go check, but I think we're right around 11 part-time coaches on staff, and we typically will have somewhere between 5 to 7 active in a given week. And the way that it works is, our coaching team will build out a plan for every person that comes in to help them accomplish their objectives. So we always start with the plan, right? And the plan has steps and processes, and there's going to be activities that they do where we learn about them and they learn about us. We get clarity. We figure out who our target is. We go out and build value proposition. We create branding materials. We do all those things. But the way our unique program functions is that you always have access to this team of part-time coaches. And there are 4 ways that you can get coaching help. You can either schedule a one-on-one call with a coach. You can come to an office hour, which is a group call, and you can kind of workshop anything you need in that environment. You can get coaching through video reviews. So you could submit something, we'll send you a video back with our thoughts and feedback. And then you also have Slack, which is our direct messaging platform. So the coaching preference is choose your own adventure. So let's say Daniel signs up for Better Work, and Daniel says, I want to make yo-yos at Yomega, and I want to, be a business analyst at the world's best yo-yo company. So we build a plan in terms of steps and activities for what Daniel needs to do to accomplish that. And our coaching team would step in and partner with him on each of those activities. So, we're going to help you write the resume. We're going to help you build a LinkedIn profile. Coaches will come in and design the networking strategy. You ultimately have the responsibility to go out and execute, but there's no point where you don't have direct and immediate access to somebody who can help you from a coaching perspective. There's also no point where you're alone in your search, right? There's all these people, whether it be other job seekers or our alumni network or me, that can come in and kind of help you get over the hump or accomplish this thing that you need to accomplish. So yeah, you don't work with one coach the whole time. The idea is that we have a bunch of specialists, and that as you move through different things and need different help, there's qualified people that can come in and immediately add value.
Yeah.
Just hearing you talk about that, it's just like, take my money. I don't even know. I just want to join Broda coaching. One of the things I can see obviously how much more your program has evolved in the last year when we started, the last conversation that we had a year ago.
Yeah.
Because at that time when we had this last conversation in the podcast, you were still working at Amazon full time. So tell us about that big news, that big change, and how has that then allowed you to then double down on your business essentially?
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to make sure that I say accurate things on this podcast. Man, what a year 2024 was for me. Like personally, professionally, yeah, there was a lot of change, but it was very warranted and necessary change, and I was excited to make the change. Um, yeah, I mean, the beginning of the year, it was a situation where we were kind of transitioning. Really, I guess 2023, we were transitioning from a one-on-one program that had existed for a long time into kind of like a mid-ticket community coaching space, and figuring out what that looked like, and what kind of value we're going to offer, how we're going to help people getting testimonials, doing the kind of the foundational level work. And then I would honestly tell you, like, Q2 of 2024, when the business really started to hit some of the early goals and KPIs that we had set up, and we were like, hey, like, this is working, we're placing people, testimonials are coming in, people are happy, we're delivering on the value I think that we've promised. I'd say probably like June or July, I think I had seen what I wanted to see to know that I wanted to do it full time. And at that point, I wanted to leave Amazon in a way that didn't burn bridges. I wanted to leave Amazon in a way that allowed me to maintain relationships. Because, I mean, again, I loved my time at that company. I really enjoyed most of the people that I worked for. I had the unique opportunity of hiring almost, everybody that worked underneath me at some point, which was really cool, because our team was just it was a fantastic group of people, and I was so happy in my corporate job. So the things that ultimately pushed me to leave were just logistical things, like not wanting to go back to the office or not wanting to relocate, and never was about the work or the people. So I tried to give myself about 6 months to figure out how to step out of corporate in a graceful way, without burning bridges, without kind of causing too much chaos for the people that I,
Yep.
was leading, and then also the people that I was working for. And I think that was the right amount of time. I think it could have happened faster if it needed to, but yeah, basically between June and December was, planning what the phases of exit were going to look like, and then again also just planning out what needed to happen in the business with bringing in employees, or finding people to help with finances or accounting things, figuring out how to get insurance and health benefits, like just checking those things off the list so that I could leave without taking too much risk. I mean, Daniel, I have known each other for many, many years, and Ellie, we partied in Miami that one time, or Orlando. That's all you need to know. But when I say party, we ate sandwiches from Publix.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
talked about strategy.
yeah, talked about strategy. But I am generally a very risk adverse person. I think if you had known me, 10 years ago before kids, you would have seen a different version of Adam. But yeah, like when you have a mortgage and kids and family members depending on you, like and a good quality job with a lot of security, it's the appetite to just like, let's go all in on this coaching thing that I haven't fully figured out and I don't feel super confident in, is really not large. So yeah, it was a timing thing, just making sure that the data was supportive of the value proposition that the business could create. And I think it took, 3 to 6 months to kind of see that information. And then it was just about exiting in the right way. But yeah, 2024 was a year for the books, one that I will remember for a long time. But ultimately, one of the best changes I think I've ever made in my whole life. I think I'm so excited and energized and motivated to figure out how to be, an amazing career coach and build an amazing coaching business where we help people make their lives better, right? I mean, that's maybe the coolest thing I could say about what I do at the end of the day is, I love the work I do. It's had a very positive impact on me and my family. And the whole time I get to step back and think about the business that I'm so excited to do is a business of improving other people. And I love that. I love that. So it's been good.
Yeah.
I love have seen you, like, because you were always delivering such an amazing service in a one-on-one basis, and now even seeing how you like even describe the hockey team and that, like, just the level of support, and it's just like super super awesome. And I think that to me, like, if you're listening to whether like you are the ideal person to work with Adam and Broda coaching, or you're working toward a career coach, that should be the standard of the coach that you should be looking for. It's like, how are they supporting you? And are they supporting you in a way that it's not just one-on-one? Like one-on-one's good, but like there's also a level of community, and do you have access to strategy? Do you have access to a network? So, kudos to you.
Yeah, I think I'll just double down on that point, right? Like one of the things I wish I would have learned earlier, because for 3 years I ran Broda Coaching as a small kind of one-on-one only side business where I would only take on like 2 or 3 clients at a time. So it was not about making tons of money, because I definitely wasn't doing that. It was just like making sure I'm delivering something that's quality. But I will tell you, within probably 2 or 3 months of opening the doors on the community version of our coaching program, I learned very, very quickly the power of a community-oriented approach, right? Like as a one-on-one coach, I only have so much dedicated time and interaction. Even if we're messaging or texting back and forth, even if you're shooting me emails, like you're always getting the perspective of one person, right? Wherever they are in their career and kind of their background, their experiences. And that's fine, right? I mean, to a degree, like you're paying for that. But what's so cool about the community approach is, as we started to grow and we had 20, 30, 40 people, in our community, and we're much bigger than that now, but you start to learn really quickly, like, oh, I have, the average tenure of our community is around 15 years of experience. I have all these people with gobs of experience that can also shed light on like their unique perspective or what's worked for them. And you start to figure out so fast that, so many experienced professionals that have 10, 15 plus years in industry, they're not, it's not like they don't know how to coach at all, right? It's like everybody knows how to coach a little bit, right? Some are more comfortable with it, some are less comfortable with it. But almost every single person has something valuable to add to the conversation, or something valuable to add to, the community discussions. And there's the power to move the needle when there's lots and lots of voices is pretty impressively different than when it's just me, right? And you're only hearing from one individual. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means you can learn a lot faster and you can get help, I think, more efficiently. So that's been really cool. I wish I had seen that years ago. I probably would have, I don't know what I would have done, but maybe change some things.
That actually leads really well into the other question I have for you. And it's a little bit of a rewind into, you were talking about your career, and also how you help others. And one of the things I want to know, Adam, because I picture you as somebody who's literally perfect. I know that's probably not the case.
Definitely not.
But I want to hear from you, and maybe this is a selfish question, but I want to hear from you, like, what are the mistakes that you've made that you don't want to see other people make?
Ooh.
In your career, specifically.
Okay, yeah, in the career. I mean, I could definitely go into the non-career related field with that one. Career mistakes that I'd love other people not to make. I'll start with some really general ones, and I'll try to get into some more tactical ones, because this is a long list. Yeah, I think the best people to learn from are the least perfect people. And I think I would define myself as such. Very early on in my career, I think probably like around the age of 25, I started working at Boeing at 23. And I had the privilege of working for an incredible manager who was, really encouraging me to explore leadership roles much faster than I wanted to. And I ended up becoming a manager, I think around 24 or 25, after I had been at the Boeing company for about a year and a half or 2 years, which in my wildest dreams, I had never thought that was going to happen. And it wasn't even part of the plan. But my first team was about 40 people. And gosh, I mean, that first year as a manager was it was rough. It was rough. I had imposter syndrome to the most extreme extent. I was younger than literally every single person I was managing. Didn't feel like I had the skills or tools to help folks. And I think one of the things that I learned kind of through trial and error very, very quickly is that a lot of things, but lesson number one is probably that the best people, leaders, and managers in my opinion, are experts on people. They're not necessarily experts on the process. They're not necessarily experts on the technical skill, or even, the hard or soft skills that whatever team is kind of pushing through or learning. But what made me a good manager, and I wasn't good originally, what eventually made me a good manager was kind of stepping back and saying, hey, I'm just going to accept the fact that I don't have the answers and my team does. And I'm going to become the best possible person at connecting questions to the right people, right? And that's going to be kind of my role in leading this team, is making sure that people that have the information have a platform to communicate it with the right folks. And it was very much a humbling process, because it was, in my brain, it was like admitting that I am not the expert and I don't have everything I need to have, and I don't know all the answers to the questions. Because for such a long time, that's kind of what I thought a manager was. I thought that was what a team leader was, is somebody that can answer everything and knows everything. And letting go of that kind of perception that I had created or superimposed on myself was one of the best possible things I could have done. And I realized very quickly that applies to virtually everything in life. Like, there's so many advantages to not believing that you are the expert, and welcoming people in that actually have expertise that you can learn from. Like, you will do so much better in life, and you will accomplish more faster when you let go of the fact that you don't know, and there are better people out there. I think that'd be lesson number one. The second lesson that I wish I picked up on earlier, kind of in the same vein, as I kind of grew in my career and started doing different things, is that I often made the mistake of putting the people above me in title and level on some kind of a pedestal and saying, like, this is the behavior I need to have, or these are the types of people that I need to become. And maybe that means, getting the degrees that they have. Maybe that means talking or speaking the way that they do. Maybe it means, disciplining or corrective actioning in the same capacity that they do. Not necessarily that that's a wrong approach, because I do think you want to learn and emulate leaders to a degree. But the mistake I made was that I created a version of work Adam that wasn't actually Adam, right? I was trying to go to work and act and talk and put on this mask that was someone else. And I thought that was what the company wanted from me. And I think I eventually discovered that the best version of work Adam is just normal Adam, right? Like, I don't need to act like my boss or my director in order to do well. And I'm going to be the happiest, most productive, most efficient, most motivated version when I'm just being myself. And that sounds super cliche, and I, you probably learned that when you were in high school, but for whatever reason, I carried that stigma with me a long time in the corporate world, kind of believing that I needed to emulate certain people in order to do well or be respected or to move up. And, just through different processes or events happening or lessons learned happening, slowly coming to the realization that, the fastest way to burn yourself out is to come to work and try to be someone you're not. And I just said, look, I can't keep doing this. I'm either just going to be myself, and my weird, odd, highly sarcastic personality works, or it doesn't. And I think I was probably like 27 or 28 when I kind of said, screw it. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to stop pretending that I'm this like serious, harsh, strict person, and, not feel good about it. So I wish I would have made that change earlier.
And how would you say that those two things impact the way that you're now coaching your clients?
Oh man, yeah, I think those things carry with me almost every day. I think it's the same mantra with coaching, is I need to be the best version of myself and true to my own personality and my character and my morals and my beliefs in order to be the best coach. And if I'm not the right coach for you, I think that, again, kind of back to the first point, right? It's like, that's okay. There's so many coaches, and there's so many, other people that have a lot that you can learn from and that can help you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm trying to attract people that look like me, right? Or people that have the exact same background that I am. What it just means is, like, I'm not going to change myself in order to try and make you like me more, right? I'm not going to change the way that I coach or the style that I coach in order to try and, give you the perception that, I can accommodate your niche need. I think it's just, you maybe it's becoming apparent, but you just realize like you don't have the mental capacity to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
You just don't, especially when you start scaling a coaching community. So
it's interesting because that whole lesson that you're just sharing that applied to work applies to also how like job seekers should be looking for companies that where they can just be themselves. And if they're in a company where they can be themselves, then they're gonna actually have a much better enjoyment at their work. That's gonna lead to more promotion, more opportunities, more everything, right? And also, even when you're making big decisions on which coach should you use, it's not just like the coach that has the most followers, but it's the one that you can connect with, that you feel like their values, their principles, their personality. And even when I hear like business coaching, they're like, just be yourself, like be authentic. That's going to attract people like that connect with your story, yourself, and it was going to detract others. And that's okay, because those are the people you don't want to work with anyway. So Ellie, I know you have tons of questions because you are, so I'll let you kind of keep going on the question.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the one that's coming up for me right now is just thinking about when I was doing my research and I was looking at your LinkedIn and your website. I found that there are two main ways that you help people. First being your newsletter, and then the other being your coaching program. And what I want to know for our listeners' sake is, who is someone that would benefit from the newsletter, and who is someone who you think actually would need a lot more than the newsletter and would be a better fit for coaching?
Yeah. I'll try to give you the most transparent answer that I possibly can. I think because of the demographic that we typically work inside of, right? We are not working with students. We're mostly working with fairly tenured career professionals. And these people, again, like, as I said, they've been in it for a hot minute, right? They're not intimidated by the corporate world or changing jobs. They've probably done that before. They know how office politics works. They know how hiring and interviewing work. Many of them have hired and interviewed themselves. So that being said, many of the people that we work with are not folks that are just, totally lost and have no idea what's going on. And that's incredibly rare that kind of comes through the door. Most of the folks that are good fits for our community fall into like one of three buckets. The first bucket would be, I've been doing this job and I want to change. I have, again, 10, 15 years of experience behind me, and I need help from a coaching team to understand how I can apply my past skills, accomplishments, and qualifications to future work, right? I want people to give me their opinions and weigh in on, where am I a good fit, where I'm going to be the happiest, where I'm going to enjoy solving problems, and what kind of people would I, be happy surrounded by on a daily basis. It's, I want to hear from a bunch of folks on how to think about my job search strategy before I actually roll it out and try to execute it. And again, we have this big old team of people, and we help with that. The second bucket is similar, where, I'm unhappy with my job, or I'm unhappy with my circumstance. I want to change it. I've tried to make that change on my own, and I'm now stuck. And I want you, Broda Coaching, to come in and help kind of take a look at what's under the hood. Tell me what's going wrong. Why am I not getting traction? Why am I stuck? Why is no one responding? That's probably the second version of what we're really good at helping. And then the third version, which I'd say is newer, the third version would be someone that comes into our community with the objective of trying to grow a personal or a professional brand in a way that allows them to command more opportunities in general. Right? Where people are, again, 10, 15 years in industry, and I don't necessarily know how to present this to the world in a way that is attractive. I don't necessarily know what to say or what to do or what to post or what to, put out there, so that opportunities come to me, right? I feel like they should be coming to me. I have all these skills and expertise. I have, all these things that I've done and accomplished. I'm just not sure how to put it out there in a way that ultimately creates long-term opportunity. And we're now spending a lot more time helping people figure out how to leverage that as well. So yeah, like those are people that are good fits for what we do in our career transition, community, in the way that we coach. in the way that we help people land jobs and create opportunities. The newsletter, I'd say, is, a couple steps down from that, where you have a pretty good idea of the kinds of jobs that you want. You have a pretty good idea of the kinds of companies you want. You have good career clarity. You understand the ideal lifestyle that you are, that you're working towards, and you understand the career opportunities that enable that lifestyle. If you know all that and you have a strong network and you're just looking to kind of pick up on tricks or, new tools or techniques that are working, then, like the masterclass content, the newsletter content, some of my posts on LinkedIn is probably more for folks like that, where we're just filling in gaps. They know, they know 90% of what to do and don't necessarily believe they're stuck anywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I love that idea of the building of the visibility. I call that becoming magnetic, so that you attract opportunities to you. That's what I love to do for my clients too. So that's really cool. That's something that you're helping folks with.
I need like a branding expert to come in and just give me the correct way to describe the things, because I've got this engineering brain and I don't really put any time
this is how it is. Like,
it's
so
called,
I'm gonna call it that.
Yeah,
like,
it's the resume lesson.
not the resume refresh, revamp.
Right.
Sparkle.
I need that help. I'm gonna put that on my to-do list. Everybody's got cool ways of describing things.
$1 billion resume module.
Yeah.
Ooh,
there you go.
I like that.
No.
I don't know about billion. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's like extreme. All right, guys, it is always fun when we're together, which is why time flies. So I want to, right before we wrap it up, Adam, if people have been listening to this and they're like, man, this program sounds awesome, Adam sounds awesome, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, just send probably 50 to 60 messages to Daniel Botero's LinkedIn. Copy like GIFs or images of cats or horses. He's a huge fan of horses, but just put all that in his inbox. And then after you're done with that, reach out to me on LinkedIn. We're pretty active on LinkedIn. You can also shoot me an email at hello@brodacoaching.com, but LinkedIn email is one of the best ways to get in touch if you're interested in chatting with us.
But if only after you've flooded Daniel's inbox.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the requirement. You have to spam him first.
I will spam you back. Oh, awesome. Ellie, thanks for being here. You're awesome. Thanks for co-hosting. Your questions are amazing. Adam.
Yeah, great questions.
Yeah, this is why
very good questions.
Yeah, awesome, Ellie. Awesome. Now, thank you so much for listening, everyone. If you haven't already, liked and subscribed to the podcast, don't forget to do that. Share it with a friend, and I'll see you guys all on the next episode.